Welcome back to Mobile Rolling, our second part of our interview with Mario Borg. How are you, Mario?
I'm good, and you?
Good, mate. We were discussing where you got to. You just sort of started your business and whatever. Had a few horses. We'll take it from there. That probably is around in the 2000s or whatever. What happened there? You obviously had a young family and running a business. What was the story with the horses? Did you still have the horses at that stage, or?
Well, it was a period of time, I reckon it would have been about 2000, where the business that we all had and worked with was starting to get quite busy. Mm-hmm. So I had to balance family life and harness racing. So harness racing had to go on a back burner, because at the period at that time as well, me and my father-in-law decided to build a vineyard at home.
So where was home at this stage?
It was at Samson Flat.
Is that your present house at the moment?
Where I am now, yeah.
So that's now called Belmore Park?
It always was Belmore Park, but we just never used it.
Never used it?
My father-in-law named that place many years ago.
Okay. So that's now known because, of course, we'll go further later about the stallions that you've got there. So you had a bit of a break, came back refreshed. When you came back, what did you do? Where were you were you training from your house or your property? And of course, we do know now that you have a heavily involvement, a bit like a power broker in the politics. I know you've got plenty of connections in government and other areas. How did you manage to get into what I'd call an administration role after just being sort of basically a trainer driver, you know? How did you get to that level where you just don't, as the interview I did recently with Chris Hartwig, you just don't all of a sudden say, I might do this. How did you become to get into more of an administration and managerial role in areas of harness racing?
Well, I've always been keen on that side of it. Didn't matter if it was from the business side, harness racing side. I've always thrown in every part of me I can into what I do, and I knew that.
So just on that, was that for the welfare of the participants? Is it because of the passion you have for things, or just the fact that your determination in something that you set in your heart to, you want to see the best for it, or is it all of those in one?
I think it was more all of it in one thing. And I remember this gentleman walked up to me at the track one day and said, "Hey, we know you're passionate about harness racing and you want to help with racing. I'm a big fan on grassroots, so country clubs is where I believe that most of the grassroots start from, and where harness racing should be as well."
I've always said that the country's going to save the city, not the city to save the country.
And I had
this gentleman.
This gentleman came up to me one day and said, "How would you like to be on the Strathalbyn Harness Racing Club committee?" And I said, "Well, hey, it's a challenge, and I think that if I can get myself into a committee of some sort, that I can help the industry grow." And it's been, a funny ride.
So I'm just trying to think of gentlemen from Strathalbyn Harness Racing Club, because they're obviously downgraded a bit now, where they have no facility, lots of chocolates but no facility.
He still classes himself as a magnificent Max.
Okay. Oh, Maxie. Okay. So you got Max to blame?
Yes.
So what did Max get you involved? So you were living at Samson Flat.
Yep.
And on the committee at Strath, which is fine, and it's no different than, I was thinking about going on the committee at Mount Gambier. You don't have to live in Mount Gambier to be a member.
No.
As long as you're a member of the club, you can be on the committee.
Correct.
So, what was your involvement? So how long have you been on the committee or as a member of Strath?
Probably a
15
good
years?
10 to 15, something about 10 years already.
So what, obviously Max would have had a job for you.
He's got jobs for everybody.
I know that. Yeah, we won't go there. So what did he have penciled in for you, Mario?
Well, what we wanted to do was, at the time, if we weren't racing, so they were forming a new committee again, and they wanted to start racing at Strath.
At the track.
At the track. So we wanted to get racing back at Strath. So that's how it all started.
Why weren't they racing? Was it the fact that no one would support them, or the facility wasn't up to scratch, or they just... What was the story? Because I know over a period of time, to get people to shift to race anywhere out of sight of Globe Derby was basically, going to cut their arm off. So was it the fact that every time they'd call meetings they wouldn't stand up, or was it stake money? Was it track facilities?
I think it was a little bit of everything. Look, the Strath track was getting old, and the facility itself was, even though they tried to keep it as modernised as they could, track was a bit small, 800 metre track, but you know,
front runners track.
Yeah, it was good as a front runners track, and it was still a good track, and I think it was part of that, but also it was, I think that the industry had seen closures of country tracks,
other facilities,
that they were getting, in my opinion, that they were getting too spoon-fed at being so close to Globe Derby, and then an hour up the road, Port
and I think the other thing with the small tracks is that all the smarties will tell you we need big tracks and everyone gets a good chance. But the small tracks around the world, I mean, you've got small tracks like Penrith and that aren't big tracks. But the gambling dollars there is far better than it is at Menangle, where they go around there's so many $10 pops, because
I've seen some really good betting turnover from Strath. So you know, and I think that was more that the people just didn't want to travel. They didn't want to go up.
So from joining Strath, and you're obviously a pretty tight knit community and a committee. You then, we'll say, ended up or landed or was elected to the country clubs as the secretary or president or chair, something.
I was first put on, Max said, I've got another job for you. And it was basically, we want you to represent the club at the Country Clubs Association. So I went on there and straight away become the secretary. And then later on, vice president, then president.
Okay, so do you have any involvement with the country clubs at the moment?
No.
You don't? Okay. So on the time that I was on the board with Chris Harvig, and that we talked about in a previous interview, we had a fair bit to do with you then as with the connection with the country clubs, and I found that you had some what would I say, some political people sort of always whispering in your ear and wanting advice or information regarding our industry, which at that stage we're in a pretty ordinary state. And I know that you've dealt with both sides of the government without putting on the hot spot. Do you think they've done anything to assist us in the last 5 years? I mean, some of the advice you've given them, do they take that on board, or do they just sort of filter it?
The previous government did, and as you know, that how much we lobbied yourself, myself, and Ross Neal, and trying to get the interviews and meetings with the Liberal government at the time, and it was with that actually got the ball rolling, because we knew that we had no hope with the Cunningham report in getting it implemented. Because there was a lot that was happening behind the scenes that weren't allowing this to happen. So then we started lobbying.
Why wasn't it allowed to happen? Shouldn't the government have had enough power to be able to do what they wanted, or were they getting information from other sources that wasn't correct?
I think a little bit of both, but also we were classed as a private organisation, so it was hard for them to step in and say, well, this is how it's going to work. But they had some input when it came to the board structure.
And what's your thoughts on the board structure? Because at that stage, I'm just going to state this fact. I had been re-elected.
Yep.
And the government come in and said that all of those positions are vacant and we're now going to do it our way. Would you say, in a simple yes or no, has that been a success?
Oh, it's hard to say because it's a yes and no. I think that there's flaws in it. And I think that needs to be looked at again. And as we all know, you just can't roll with something and continue to have it that way. I think like when losing you off the board was probably hard because of what you did with the Elwood and all that kind of stuff. You really got that. And even Chris, Chris he resigned at the time, but I think that what yous were doing to getting us back to the yearling sales was going great, and then with the rest of the board helping, the betting turnover was growing at that time, well, just prior to that. And then So I think that.
So do you think there needs to be a balance? Because from what I can see as an outsider, the people that want to control our industry, and I don't mean the ones that are in it, the ones that are outside that have control, that say they don't want to have. We need someone outside of harness racing so they can see this as a business. Correct. And look at it, right?
Correct.
But then they don't. The people that have the empathy for the business, so it could be you and it could be your Chris Hartwigs and whatever, don't get a position on the board. So they need a mix of those outsiders and those insiders, if you can say. So in the days, like John Levy was the legal man when I was on the board. A fantastic operator. Yep. A lawyer. Yes, West Adelaide Football Club, whatever. Now, he didn't have any horses, but he had the expertise that was needed and could see where a horseman or a horse person like yourself would bring an expertise to the board. From what I can gather, in the last 5 years, and this is nothing against the board that we have, because they are very, very good people, but I think we need to get some people back on the board that actually have an empathy with the industry, because at the end of the day, most of them, people are reading the dates off the calendar. There wouldn't be too many harness racing people, owners, trainers, drivers, that actually could say at the end of the year, well, I just made $40,000 or $50,000 out of the horses this year. Most of them, it's a dear hobby.
That's right, and you're right, and from past work that we did with the government, you and I and Ross, that when we were looking at the board structure and how to change it, and they wanted to go fully independent, we really lobbied hard to try and get at least one or two board or directors on there that had some form of racing knowledge. It didn't matter if it was harness racing or gallops or the dogs, but at least they had some form of structure, because it's really hard for a CEO to come in and then try and educate the independent boards on harness racing and try and run the industry. Exactly. It's really hard. So I think we need to really revisit that and create positions on the board. So would you, if there was a position for you on that board, would you take it? No, because I wouldn't hand in my licence.
No, disregard. Well, is a licensed person who only has one vote on a board, can't go on there because he's licensed. That's ludicrous. True.
But that's the rules.
Well, they need to change those rules.
If they could change those rules and
they should change those rules, because at the end of the day, if for argument's sake the late Gavin Lang, a magnificent man, if he was offered a position on the board in HRV, which they'd love to have him there at the moment, but he can't because he's licensed, that is ludicrous. That's why we're slowly dying. Well,
correct. And if I was allowed to sit on the board with my business knowledge and be able to sit on the board and still have horses racing, there'd be no problem.
Exactly.
I'll put my hand straight up.
Right. So we've got that organised. We've got it on the board. Now let's look at. We'll make this a bit quicker than normal, because we've got a lot to talk about. Quickly. Yep. You've grown your stables over the last 3 years, where you've now got like Colin Hayes. You've got satellite stables. You got the stables at Belmore Park where you train a few and whatever. Train a couple, and then you've got your other stables at Ballala. Yeah. So how many horses do you have under your trainership?
Well, at the moment that's quite funny, because the Ballala stables is now what we've decided to do there, and it's only been happening in the last couple of days. Tony and Gator run the place, so
they're the managers there for you.
So they're the stable managers there, and Tony does a lot of hard work there. So I could really step aside and just, I wouldn't have to worry about it. So we sat down and had a good chat, and I think that it's now time now that Tony's come back in the industry after so long being away, and he's found his feet in the industry again, and he's felt comfortable in himself, it was time for him now to get his trainer's licence, which he has. He's got his trainer's licence, and he will become the full-time trainer at Ballala.
As from when?
Probably from Monday. So we've put in his application, which he's got, his trainer's licence.
So by the time this goes to air, he would have already
have had his trainer's licence.
Okay, all right. So that's that one. So you'll be back to training at half a dozen. Your place, Belmore Park. You've gone into the stallion game. You've got Imperial Count, is it, the trotter?
Yes.
You've got Gotta Go Collect, who every week there's a winner.
There's a winner. He's left winners everywhere.
Is that the
himself.
only 2 stallions you got there?
No, I've got Cardigan Boko.
Cardigan Boko, that's
well.
Nevin
Another
Bodica's
trotter.
horse, isn't
Yep.
it? The trotter. So you got
Yep.
2 trotters and a pacer.
Yep.
Obviously, Gotta Go Collect's done a super job and a fantastically bred horse. He must be getting on now. He must be in his mid-20s, is he?
No, he'd be 17.
Is that all?
Yeah, 17.
Okay. So
Hoka Dallas ready to pounce up on the leaders, followed by He's My Hero as they swing in. Gotta Go Collect the leader. He's My Hero. Hoka Dallas followed then by CJ LaBelle and Fleming, but Gotta Go Collect is holding them at bay. He's My Hero followed by Fleming, but Gotta Go Collect in front, and Gotta Go Collect has taken the last. Fleming second. He's My Hero third, followed then by on the outside Hoka Dallas CJ LaBelle. Further out in the track is Liston, followed by Captain Marcus and Hurricane Player. The last one.
what are you looking to do there? How many? I mean, with the business and all that, you're obviously busy, but do you get a thrill out of those and getting your foals and?
Well, look, I've decided that, or not decided, but once I got my first stallion, it kind of sparked something, and this is probably half the reason why also that I've basically Tony and Gator.
They're going to
do
take
Malala
over
there.
yeah.
So I would like to really step back and take over the breeding side of it, because I really enjoy. Because when I did my wine uni and studied winemaking and done all the chemistry side of it, my breeding side, I really liked the chemistry side of it and all that kind of stuff. So it really sparked something in me again.
That's a bit of an outlet from the business.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll you're not the smartest person in the family,
No.
or the cleverest person in the family. That's Lisa, right? Now you've got 2 children
2 children.
who are.
Talia
And?
and Samuel.
So Sam is in the army, is he?
He's in the army. He's at uni as well.
Studying to do what?
He's studying engineering, which will go to medical engineering,
Okay.
and counter-terrorism as well.
Counter-terrorism. They've done a check on his history, his background.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
No, I'm talking about his parentage. What about your daughter? Now, a lot of people won't know this, but she is super talented.
Very super talented.
Right, so tell everyone what she does.
Well, she's in a band called Teenage Jones, and they've gone from
Singing in a pub.
singing in a pub for $50 to getting gigs now that are anywhere from 13 to 40,000, 50,000. They've got a record label who they've been contracted to. They've got a manager.
They've
toured-
been around. They've just been to America.
They've been to America, touring with Sleeping with Sirens. They've toured with Amy Shark.
Black Eyed Peas, weren't
No, it was Foo Fighters.
they? Foo Fighters, sorry. Yeah.
Yep. So
So-
they've really hit big time.
So you're really proud, yeah.
I'm proud of all my children
Yeah.
that I know of.
So no, it's interesting because you wouldn't have thought that someone would, playing in little pubs and whatever,
No.
would go to the level that they have gone to.
Well, it was
And
quite
they did get.
quite good.
They did get last year. They got nominated for the top 100 with.
Yeah, well, they got into first. They won the music awards in Adelaide Music Awards. They won 8 awards, which is still top in South Australia. No one's ever done that. And then they've gone on to. They've been nominated for the ARIAs this year, so they were in the ARIAs this year. They didn't win it, but they finished top 5, and it was just great just for them to be nominated for the ARIAs. And they've played at the Eclipsal.
So do you go along and say, I'm her dad?
Well, I try to, but everyone just looks at her and looks at me and they say, well, yeah, there's her daughter. It's his daughter.
All right. Look, I think in closing, we'll just. What do you think is the future? I mean, everyone I speak to, we know that we've too much competition for gambling. There's so much on these days. It's not cool anymore. We love the industry to death. We're always going to go. Like Chris Hartwig said in an interview I did with him, it's been going to die for 30 years. It will be on a diminished level. What do you think of the future in South Australia, for argument's sake, since there has been certainly a rejuvenation since Dean Elliott's taken over the role?
Look, I think that they've all done a pretty good job at the moment, but we still need to grow, and we still need to, unfortunately, we have those people outside that don't like punting or betting, but we we need this betting to survive and to create turnover. And more the turnover we get, well, the better our percentage will be. I think more importantly, I think it's time for the industry to bite the bullet and basically give full running to HRSA of the industry, and no more having your shareholders and.
But Mario, just on that, it's great to give it to HRSA, but for those that don't know, HRSA, and as we've discussed in previous interviews, they give out more stake money out of the money they receive. They give out more than any other place in Australia, but they have no assets.
That's correct.
So all they are is basically a trust fund. The money goes in and they distribute it. So all the participants, OAE, Gawler, Port Augusta that don't have a track, Mount Gambier, Victor Harbour, Strathalbyn, have all the money.
That's right.
So unless something, and for argument's sake, if Strathalbyn have X amount of dollars, why would they want to give that to HRSA to build a track or to run the industry? What's in it for them as a safety net, etc.?
It's very hard.
And the ideal scenario is all those clubs should put all their money and give it to HRSA as a custodian of the industry and let them build their track or whatever away from Globe Derby and get rid of it. Do you agree with that, or what do you think?
To a certain
otherwise,
point,
how are they going to get any money?
To a certain point, I still think we're probably going to need a Globe Derby. Hopefully,
Well, of course we are.
Hopefully that, with Seymour's ideas and his help, that it helps them grow. But I think that when it comes to HRSA, yes, they run everything on a shoestring budget, and that's why we don't have much staff like they have in the other states. And we do get a lot of people say, well, we should be a bit like Victoria and we should do this and we should do that. But I remember going back good maybe 10 years ago when you were on the board, when you were the country representative, country clubs representative, and we had people in that room going, we should be more like Victoria and we should be doing this and we should be doing that. And I remember you clearly, and I never forget it, you turn around and saying, well, we'll see what happens in 10 years. And
now we're going stronger than them.
And now we're going stronger than them because we shouldn't be going that way. But, we need the board to, the board become very hamstrung, and as you know, being on the board, they become...
Well, you don't have any control.
You've got no control.
So either everyone's got to forget their egos and bite the bullet and say, this board is now running the whole industry, and they have to abide by it. But how they get any money to be able to do that without getting to the government?
I personally think that, in my opinion, that if the government, well, not the government, if the industry was to, HRSA was to take control, change the constitution and make them more the business owners
Without
of
a
it,
doubt.
I think they'd get more support from government. I think the government would really help them.
All right, well, I think the proof will be in the pudding. So when we look at this in 6 months' time, hopefully some of I know a lot of interaction you do have with HRSA and clubs and sponsors and government, that hopefully, Mario, that some of the stuff you are hoping happens does happen. So
We hope.
thank you, all the best. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me
Mario.
on.
Thank you.